Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the annual meeting of the City of Merritt Council Chambers, City Hall, Tuesday, June the 27th, 2017 at 7 p.m. And input, we have two. We need a resolution. Liz and Andrea are here from Base Coast. We don't have that on the agenda, so we need a resolution and a motion stating that we will allow them to say a few words to us. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify. Opposed, carried, and so ordered. Lisa and Andrea, the floor is all yours. Thank you. You want to push the button, please? Thank you.
Well, good evening. Thank you all for having us. We just wanted to stop by and say hello. We're here building Base Coast, which takes place the 7th to the 10th, and we wanted to invite you all to a walkthrough. The walkthrough is on the 6th, which is Thursday night, and it's hosted by the Chamber, and you can meet on site at 7 p.m. Itelka will be coordinating, so if you have any questions, she can probably answer them.
And we just wanted to thank you again. We feel like Merritt is our second home, and we've been on site building for 2 days, and everything's going perfectly on schedule, and we've got so many managers and volunteers who've been with us all 5 years here, and they all say that Merritt feels like their second home. So thank you so much for having us, and yeah, you guys are great. We love it here.
Thank you. Any comments, Councillor Prowl?
I can't believe this is your 5th year.
We remember our first council meeting.
Yeah, that really did surprise me, and you really are an asset with your group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything further? Yes, thank you very much, ladies. We're looking forward to it. The tour is on the 6th, did you say, at
Yes.
7 in the evening?
Yes.
Great. Looking forward to that too. So
Great.
welcome back.
Thank you.
Have a great show, and again, we'll see you next year after this year.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. We have Rose, Becca, and is it Tina? Tara. Okay. Nicola Valley Minor Lacrosse Association.
Hello. Tara's not here yet. She's still at work, so
Okay.
I'll speak for her. Oh, okay, I won't speak for her. I had sent in a letter to Mayor Menard back on June 19th. Our Pee Wee team this past weekend actually won the league championships and the zone playoffs for Zone 2, which is a Thompson Okanagan. Yeah. And we just got our banners, so they'll be hanging up out at Chalouse, because that's where the other banners are, I guess. And so we're actually heading to Fort St. John, July 6th to the 9th, our Pee Wee team, and there's 20 players that are heading up there. And so I'll finish talking on the Pee Wees first, right? So we're actually here looking to see if we could get some sort of donation to go up there and to represent Merritt and the Nicola Valley for our kids to play lacrosse up there. We have our Bantam team has declared as well. They are going in the C division. I don't know if it's all tiered in that. So we're in the B, but the Bantams are in the C. So they're a very junior, young, experienced team. So they're able to play in a lower level instead of in the B level. So they are going to Nanaimo on July 13th to the 16th. And the one thing that I had put in my letter is that they don't need assistance with the ferry costs, because BC Ferries has a sports experience program that gives sports teams or vehicles that are traveling across to the island one way and then a return ticket. That doesn't come out I was going to say train ticket, but we're on the ferries, right? So it's just what we're looking for assistance with is our hotel expenses. Some parents are going up for 4 nights, some are going up for 3 nights. There's a lot of kids that are going to be staying together and traveling together. So even though there's 20 players, I tried to group them up into 15 make everyone carpool, save the environment. And then the Bantam team has 12 players going and 8 are, I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but it's going to be grouped into 8 hotel rooms and 8 vehicles, so that's how that broke down there. Did I cover everything? I think I covered everything.
Okay.
This is really stressful.
Thank you very much, Rose.
Thank you.
Councilor Getz.
Thank you for the input. So I guess traditionally when this comes forward, I ask 2 questions. How much? And have you spoke to other groups such as TNRD, et cetera? And, because I'm assuming some of these kids live in the city, some live out of the city. And I'm just wondering what you would be looking for, like a number.
So our total, I'm going to speak to the Pee-wees first because that's the team my son's on. For hotel and fuel driving up there is $10,500. We have approached the TNRD. We've sent a letter to Randy Murray and Herb Graham. And then we've gone in the community as well and are asking for donations out there. Our kids are going to do a bottle drive and they're going to do a hot dog sale. They're doing a gas card raffle and a hot dog sale as well. I know it's really short notice because we don't find out until the end who gets to go from the zone, right? So there's 6 associations in the zone, and so one team gets to represent the B level. And then for the Bantam team, because they don't have to travel as far as we do, and their hotels are a little bit cheaper because some of them are getting to stay in the university down there. So they're looking for $3,200. So, and again, I sent out a letter to the TNRD as well and to some communities. And I don't think I said who I actually was. I'm the president of the Nicola Valley Minor Lacrosse, so I'm very bad at this, so.
The total, if I read the letters for the 2 of them going to both places is almost $14,000?
That's correct.
10 something for the one group and 3 something for the other? Thank you, Mike, yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Is that
Thank
what you
you.
were looking for? Sorry.
Nope, that's just me. Go ahead, Councilor Getz.
So in the past, I do believe we supported a couple of teams, I think rugby and a hockey team, I believe. I can't remember what the numbers that we, I think it was between 3 and 5.
5 for the hockey team and 4,500 for the cadets, and we did something for the rugby players, but I can't remember that number.
Okay, well, I'll let Councillor Christopherson go through and then see what he's got to say.
Councilor Baker. Got you, Kurt.
Thank you, Worship. Little off subject maybe, but still on it. You were here at the meeting last Tuesday,
Yes, I was.
sitting in the corner over there, didn't say anything. Why would the banners be at Chalouse? Why? What stops you from playing in Merritt, and why the banners would not be in Merritt? Could you give us a reason or
What my understanding is when the association started in 2004, it was Chalouse that welcomed the association in there. I wasn't living here at the time, so and Nicola Valley didn't want us at that arena. Then I think 3 years later, Nicola Valley was upset, saying, "Hey, we want to partake in this as well." So Chalouse, we actually get in there sooner because, and no diss to Nicola Valley, but they have the ice because of their hockey camp and the centennials and that, right, which I'm very happy about. And there's nothing on the walls in Chalouse, and I don't know why they're there. I guess I could find out, but it's just been in the past. So the only other team in the 13 years is the Bantam team that won zones and leagues in 2014. And then they went to provincials. The midget team went to provincials last year and came in second place. but it was just down in Richmond, like, it was a lot closer, like, this is really mean that they're sending us all the way to Fort St. John, but,
So if I may then, in the future, is it possible to maybe share the wealth a little bit? Because I think it would do the community well, especially after what you heard last Tuesday, to have some publicity for the Lacrosse Association in Merritt.
yep,
So if you could
We
maybe just think and work on that a little bit?
yep, for sure, I can do that.
Thank you.
Counselor Christopherson.
Oh, yeah.
Just a point of clarification, I think that the opportunity to ask questions will be when the item actually comes up later on the agenda, isn't it?
No, you can do
Can we
both.
ask questions now?
Well, that's part of what we do, is it not? It's okay. We have the right to ask questions of Melissa, Ms. Miles. Get us on track here. I just want to know everything, and the sooner we know it, the better, but Counselor Christopherson might be right. But we've always had questions to people that have been here to speak on public input, so.
So I think a lot of her. Okay, my point in asking is because I'm prepared to make a motion later on at the appropriate time.
We've got one all set up.
Yeah, okay.
Counselor Christopherson.
Sorry about this.
It's okay, Ms. Miles,
Oh,
welcome.
sorry, I have it underlined, actually. Council will not respond to or debate the comments made.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
I thought that's.
but we
the
can
way it
ask
went.
questions.
That's correct. I mean, you typically you have been asking questions,
Yep.
so that's what's.
That's, yeah, but we can't
but
respond or,
Debate or anything.
so just for clarification, council members can ask
That's
as
what
we've been
that's
doing.
what I
The
understood,
debate
so,
would happen during 8:23.
Right, when we get to
Yes.
that point.
okay, thank you.
Okay,
I just don't want to throw.
thank you. Thank you very much, ladies, much
Okay.
appreciated.
We can go, or should we stay?
Well, yeah,
or-
if you want to find out what's coming up.
Oh, okay, then I better stay.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, we're, yeah, you should stay because you're gonna wonder what the hell's going on, so. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Moving on to point 4, adoption of minutes. For 4.1, recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on Tuesday, June the 13th, 2017 be adopted. Moved and seconded. Any errors or omissions or any comments? Councillor Baker? Oh, sorry, Jesus. Oh, boy, Neil. One of those nights. Can we try again? Councillor Getz?
Yes.
Go. Sorry.
8.7, fire hall expansion. I voted no. Just to be clear. I see it doesn't have me listed there as opposed. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? All those in favor signify. Opposed, carried, so ordered. 4.2, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting held on Tuesday, June the 20th, 2017 be adopted. Moved and seconded. Any errors or omissions? Any comments, questions? Councillor Christopherson.
Brian Defoe's name is misspelled, should be B-R-I-A-N.
There you go.
Yeah, Mr. Defoe's name is B-R-I-A-N, not Brain.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor signify. Opposed, carried, and so ordered. Excuse me, Nicola Valley Community Arts Council, general matters, delegations, and recognitions. 5.1, Nicola Valley Community Arts Council presentation. Jean Kriegel, Vice President, Nicola Valley Community Arts Council, June 5th, 2017, letter, file 1851. Please.
Thank you. My name is Jean Keegrell, and I'm here as a director and as vice president of the Nicola Valley Community Arts Council. The last council meeting I attended was to support our grant in aid. That was back in January. And I'm delighted to be back again because I have nothing but good news today. At the January meeting, the council had a number of questions. In general, these indicated a certain level of doubt about the operations of the Arts Council and perhaps its viability as a permanent feature of Merit. As community members, we, the directors, shared many of these concerns and specifically volunteered to be directors in order to make a difference. I must say, the last few months have given me a new appreciation of Dr. McLeod and his friends for keeping this organization in existence. Starting it from scratch would have been just too daunting. I don't think we could have done it. Even with all of our talents and enthusiasm, it might have defeated us. So now, the purpose of a community arts council is to support and enable local arts and culture activities for the benefit of local citizens. That's its primary purpose. It's what communities do for themselves to make their hometown interesting and appealing, to make it a nice place to live. When that happens, all the sectors benefit: business, real estate, education, tourism. It brings everybody up. As such, it's in the interests of everyone to assist this in all possible ways: volunteering, donating, building the necessary community supports that keep the activities going smoothly with the widest possible range of participants. The many sports that are available in the Valley provide the same kind of community benefit. Like the arts, they also rely on hours and hours of volunteer time, on the fundraising and donations, and on the facilities provided by the city. The arts and culture sector is historically less organized than sports. It lacks the national and international superstructures that provide sports with publicity, with financial structures, with boundaries, and prominent recognition of personal and community achievements. There is no NHL and no CFL for artists. There's no Vancouver Canucks or even the Centennials for the musicians. It's all do-it-yourself. Arts and culture events tend to happen in repurposed sports facilities or in multi-purpose buildings and temporary locations. We can usually make these work, but it's sometimes akin to holding soccer games in an ice hockey arena. Not the optimal situation. The Arts Council and the dance program are currently in a minimally repurposed antique courthouse that was considered unsuitable for judicial purposes by the province, and we are making it work. But such a building creates its own limitations and challenges, sometimes similar to playing soccer on ice. I'm not setting up to ask you to build an arts center. But in response to the questions and concerns raised at the Grants in Aid meeting in January, I think we are fortunate to have an art gallery. Most communities this size do not. And even at the amazingly low rent we pay, it does still take a major slice of our funding, and that is something we are working on. We're working to address that issue. I would point out that compared to building an art center, Merritt gets a very good deal by having that old courthouse available. The good news I have for you today is that the community has welcomed the revival of the Arts Council with open arms. The report that I wrote for you, that you have in front of you, is not exaggerating. It's only the things that I thought of, not everything that we did. And it's not hiding any bad news. Open and clear, as far as I can tell, there is no bad news. The donations have been coming in from citizens and businesses. The grants are in the works and waiting for answers. The volunteers, new and old, are jumping back on board or coming on brand new. And offers for new events and programs are coming in from the most unexpected directions, right out of the blue quite often. It's been quite an amazing 6 months for the volunteers on our board of directors. While our planning is primarily focused on the interests and needs of the local community, we have been surprised by the interest expressed by visitors and tourists when they come in or attend our events. Even the art gallery is flourishing now with sales of artwork, one for $1,200 last month, and real folding money in the donation jar. We're working on ways to make more use of that facility for our new programs. I would like to draw your attention to sections of my report that specifically address the concerns you raised at the January meeting regarding the Arts Council's reliance on the 3 basic annual grants to cover all of our expenses. As you can see, in only a few months, we have explored some additional income sources with quite unexpectedly good results. Here are the main 5. Grants. We have been actively searching for grants from sources beyond City Council. Some have already come through in the list there, and we're hoping for 2 really large grants. It's a bit of a long shot, but we are getting very good at grant writing. We want a big grant from the BC Arts Council to backstop a music program next year. Oh, pardon me, that one is from BC Touring. And we asked the BC Arts Council for $11,000 for an advanced dance program to carry the dancers with our incredible dance instructor, who is way beyond what a small community would ever hope to have. She can take dancers with her credentials, she can take dancers to a professional level. But that takes a bit more organizing, so we've asked for a grant for that. Some of the long timelines involved in grants are a bit challenging for a small community. How do you know so far ahead of time? Sometimes a year or 18 months ahead of, or the deadlines are ahead of the actual activities. How do you know who will still be here? How do you know which experts that you've listed will still be in town? In other cases, we have started creating new programs because the grant guidelines themselves made us realize that we have untapped local resources. One grant application required the participation of professional artists with formal credentials and practicing artists. So we went looking, and much to our surprise, we found many professionals, not necessarily in visual arts, but other professionals who have credentials who could help us be the basis for a completely different program. We hadn't thought to ask for dance credentials. Lizette turned out to be our professional. She has many documents. So we have many more ideas for new programs in the future, and we have the expertise locally to back them up. The second big area that we developed and is going great guns are donations. Our online portal has received, as of today, $895 since it opened up on June the 8th. So that is more probably than we received in donations in the last few years altogether. That amount will double because we have an offer from a benefactor to match the first $2,000 of donations that we get online. We're hoping to claim all of it by August 31st. The online donation process is secure and remarkably easy. Press the button. CRA receipts, the credit charitable tax receipts, are instantly emailed to the donor, and the money is automatically deposited to our bank account weekly. Could it possibly be easier? A third way that we're doing it, which is not mentioned on yours yet because we didn't have these facilities at the time that I wrote the report for you, are ticket sales. We've started to focus on more user pay and low-cost activities, though arts and culture activities tend to be free or almost free. We're finding ways to reduce the costs and reduce the ticket prices to make them available to more people. With our community-centered focus, just looking at what people in this community want to do and see, these can be many relatively small programs rather than the big headline-grabbing mega projects that burn out volunteers because it takes too much time. We can do many little ones, and we partner with local groups who maybe already have something going, and we can enhance it. Maybe we can do the advertising, maybe we can help them with refreshments, maybe we can find them a better venue, and that is paying off big time. And we do one of the smaller programs that we have just started, for example, we have slightly subsidized to the point of $60 per day at about $5 per person, a set of outdoor painting sessions at Corbett Lake Lodge, 3 for this summer, all-day painting with lunch, and we are using that to break in our brand-new online ticketing. We needed to practice that before we get to some of the big music events in the fall. And it turns out the same portal that helps us collect donations has a ticketing facility. And I just tried it. I put in 6 different tickets for this summer's event, two prices for each day. Slick. I became my own first customer. The fourth thing we have are in-kind donations of materials and refreshments from local businesses. And these have provided the means to offer events at a lower cost to participants, and our local businesses are just amazingly generous in this regard, and some go far out of their way to be helpful. We've created a special section on our website called Community Sponsors to recognize their generosity. Without their help, many activities would be priced out of range or need far more seed money to get them started. A fifth area that has actually come as kind of a surprise to us is membership. Membership in arts councils across the board have been declining along with the volunteers. We have already 175 members this year, at just at $10, which hasn't changed in decades. That starts counting up to being real money in our tiny budget. As part of our Canada outreach, we emailed an offer of complimentary membership to all local elected officials this year, the city councillors, MLA, MP, member parliament, and elected band chiefs. And we would be delighted if you would take us up on this offer. It's a way for us to get our information out to you and for you to know what we are doing, specifically what we're doing with your money. So, as you can see from the submitted report, we've been very busy, and there's even more to come. We're applying our creativity to the practical issues we face and hope to be coming to City Council with some interesting suggestions for improving arts and culture possibilities in the Nicola Valley. We look forward to making more great reports in the coming years with your support. I happen to have copies of our updated brochures hot off the press, printed today, folded by my very own hands. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Getz.
Thank you, Jean. I appreciate your comment, and I still remember the day when you told me that you would never be involved, and here you are. But anyways, it does prove that hell does apparently freeze over once in a while. So, just looking at your numbers and everything, you went from 24 to 175. That's a 700%, which is pretty good, I guess.
It's pretty good.
So, and you mentioned that you weren't coming to us to ask for any kind of a building being built. And I would say, why don't you ask? Because we have other people asking us for the same thing with a lot less numbers. So I would suggest you put your foot in the door. Everybody else seems to be doing it. So that's just me.
Okay. I do keep noticing what a really fine piece of property the courthouse is on.
But I'm just saying, there's another group that's looking for a building with a lot less members. So
is that right?
Yes.
Okay, well,
I'm just saying you should get your foot in the door. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the honorable membership, and I will take you on it, but I'd still like to make a donation, because as a council, it's one thing about sitting on council, you never can belong to anything.
Yes, right.
You can be part of something, but it's unfortunate that we can never really belong to anything, because then the minute you came in, we'd all have to leave, right? So that's the one thing that sometimes happens, is people don't understand. One of the reasons why we don't join a lot of things is because basically we can't, because it comes into conflict of interest. So just want you to know that's an issue. So anyways, thank you. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. Maybe a solution to that problem then is, I think on our website you can just sign up to receive newsletters. That would have exactly the same effect, and you wouldn't be a member.
Councillor Christopherson.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted with the turnaround and enthusiasm that the Arts Council is doing, because Arts Councils are pretty vital to the health and well-being of a community. So particularly delighted to see the increase in the membership. 700% increases. Okay. Yeah, very, very nicely done, and congratulations to all the directors, if you'll pass on that doing a great job. It's also very nice to see the donations that are now coming in and the grants that are being applied for from new sources and so on. So things are picking up, and thank you very much.
Councillor Baker, did you have your hand up?
Thank you, Worship. I do remember the evening that Councillor Getz was talking about. It was outside the door here, and it was quite chilly, and your comments were quite chilly. I'm thrilled that you are back in it again. The report is excellent. I'm on your mailing list, so thank you very much. It's been a long time that we have heard about the Art Council going downhill. You have not had a lot of support from council for many years, pretty much because of that. Councillor Christopherson has always held your flag high. Anyways, really good to see things are rolling in the right direction, and I applaud you for everything in that report. It's an excellent report. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Brown.
We're so delighted that the people who used to be involved are coming back. We have a music advisory committee, and some of the people on there were instrumental in creating the concert series in the beginning, and they're back and delighted as well.
Councillor Brown.
I just wanted to echo the words that have already been stated earlier, that this is a great report. I haven't been involved in what has happened in the past, but this is the important part now. So I'm looking forward to many more good things from the organization. Thank you.
We do feel this is just the beginning. We spent the first 4 months making the paperwork work. You can't file a grant application until you have a budget. You can't file a budget if it's a negative. You can't keep track of the money if you don't have the bank account properly set up with the right signing authority. It's been an education.
Good. I'm glad you've learned it.
I am not the treasurer, and I'm very glad about that. But Jane Bartle is doing a fantastic job.
Thank you very much. Any further comments or questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Kriegel.
Okay. We do have,
job.
I think, a letter into you requesting a letter of support for one of our grant applications. If you have a chance to get that going. Grant application deadline, unfortunately, is tomorrow. This is for the big music grant. We have lots of letters of support, but one from the city would be just lovely to have.
Thank you.
Okay. The band and choir say they regret they couldn't be here to back me up. They're busy they're rehearsing for the Canada Day event.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to item number 6, unfinished business, 6.1, secondary suites, Director of Engineering and Development, June 21st, 2017 report, file 0595. That recommendation that council receive this staff report for information. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Councilor Prowl.
Thank you, Your Worship. I did have one. Are we allowed to ask questions? Because it's just information.
No? Yeah, ask questions.
There was one thing that caught my eye, was that a secondary suite will have its own separate water bill. How would the city know that? Would there be a second water meter or something?
Ms. Bird?
Thank you, Worship. Through to Councillor Prowl. Yes, they would have a second meter. Correct, Sheila? Right now we're billing flat. Yeah, because we don't have residential meters right now. So yes, they'd be getting billed a flat rate,
Oh,
a
okay,
second flat rate.
thank you.
Counselor Brown?
Oh, where to start? I was the one that put out the motion on reviewing secondary suites, and this does not address the issues of what I was asking for. One of the issues of three, it's talking about the registry for all secondary suites, whether they're legal or illegal. And I think the other two concerns have not even been addressed. They are ways to create opportunities for more rental units, and that incentives be reviewed with the possibility of providing ownership buy-in. We have a housing crisis in Merritt, and what I was looking at was trying to make it easier for owners that wanted to put in secondary suites to be provided with avenues to aid them to get there, instead of roadblocks to say, no, this has to be this rigid. And I think what we've turned this into is a market where the ones that want to comply and want to be legal in a secondary suite don't do it because the rules are too rigid. And so the ones that want to put up secondary suites without the rules, they're the ones that are going ahead. And I think we maybe have more of those in town than we do legal suites. So what I was hoping to do was, number one, put a registry together. I guess we need the registry to determine what we've got out there, no question. And it would be my suggestion that we hire a temporary staff for 2 weeks so that that can be done. On the other hand, I was hoping that we could have some kind of an ad hoc committee set up to discuss some of these issues. But this report, just receiving it for information, tells me absolutely nothing and really doesn't address any of the concerns in the notice of motion that I had. So I would like to maybe not just receive this for information, but to also look at saying yes to the registry of compliance or registry of secondary suites. And I understand that staff can't do it, but we could hire a temp that could help with the workload. Excuse me. We need secondary suites. We are running out of space to rent. People are moving out of town because they have no place to rent. We need our tenants to be safe. We need them to be have affordable housing while at the same time having mortgage helpers for owners. I don't even know where to begin. I would like to begin by saying I'd like to move that we move to bring a registry in so that we have an idea of what's out there to begin with.
We got a motion on the floor already, Counselor Brown, but well said.
Well, if we can, I mean, we can receive this report for information. I don't have a problem with that, but I'd like to be able to explore these issues afterwards. So I'm willing to step back until we deal with the first motion, but I would like to be able to have that motion in after we deal with that.
We're going to deal with that motion first, so.
Okay.
Counselor Getz.
I kind of understand some of but I do believe what we've got here is what we've been given is what we're legally allowed to do. First of all, a registry is only as good as the people that give you the information. It's the same with the National Gun Registry. We don't have criminals registering their guns, right? So people with illegal suites aren't going to register them whether we know it or not. So it's going to be kind of a flawed registry. I agree that we probably should look at ways of making these suites legal. There are rules. It's the same when you buy a building permit. We say to someone building a house, here's how you have to build your house. We don't make that situation any easier because there's rules to follow. Secondary suites are available to be built as long as they follow the rules. And I don't know that we would actually at a local level be able to change any of those rules, to be honest with you. But we could try for a registry. I just don't know how successful it would be. But we should explore this further. I agree.
Counselor Christopherson.
Well, I do think that the city needs to be proactive in addressing the housing crisis that's coming. Councillor Getz has brought up some very relevant issues along with that, but I don't think that should stop us from trying to address a situation that is going to be developing worse as time comes by. If the pipeline goes through, we're going to have, the housing is going to be even worse. So I think we have to be proactive in it. How we can do that, I'm not sure. We'll deal with the motion that's on the board first, but I think we need to start the process of finding solutions.
Thank you. Any further comments? On the motion that council receives this staff report for information, all those in favor signify. Opposed? Motion's carried. Councilor Brown.
I would like to move that we provide the availability of temporary staff to help the department ensure that a registry of secondary suites is done.
Motion, is there a seconder?
I'm looking at documenting the secondary suites that we have, whether we have water, sewer, and garbage rates attached to them, or however we're going to do it. This document gave us a pretty good idea of what is involved in determining how to access the registry. We're looking at trying to find the suites that are in compliance and the suites that are not in compliance with the bylaws, whether it's through occupancy permit or whatever.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Councilor Brown, but there has been no seconder, so there's no discussion unless there's a seconder. So if there is no seconder, then the motion fails.
I'll second it.
Okay. Now, Councilor Getz.
The only problem that I'm having with that motion is the using temporary staff. I think what we should do is, and this is just my thoughts, is I agree with the motion up to that point. I think staff should let us know whether they actually need to bring someone in to do that, or if it can be done in-house first. I'm prepared to support the motion that we do this secondary registry with staff's expertise on, can we do it ourselves, or do we have to bring someone in? And then we'd have to discuss staffing levels and union and et cetera. So that's the only part that I wouldn't support right now, is the part of hiring a temporary staff person, because we're not really sure it's needed at this point, and I don't want to get locked into that at this point. So as it sits, I won't support the motion as it sits, but if we can amend it somehow, I would support doing the other.
Thank you. Councilor Christopherson.
I'm on the same wavelength as Councillor Getz, strangely enough. I would like to find out more from staff of how we go about this process and whether we do need to hire extra staff. I would feel more comfortable if this was a notice of motion that could be worked on, but if it can be amended by the mover, even to add the words, should it be required, then I could support the motion.
Well, it can't be amended by the, excuse me, by the mover, but Councilor Norgard, are you done?
Well, I can make that motion as a friendly motion if you like.
Okay. One thing we have to clear the air on right this evening, and I sent everybody a message at a meeting, I think it was the last council meeting, as you're all aware, that there was a couple of friendly motions made, and I allowed them. Because in my past life, if it was a word or so that didn't change the body of it, it was allowed. And Ms. Miles challenged me, which was great. So we both did some in-depth studying, and you want to shut your mic off for a minute, Councilor Brown? Found out that through the council and through municipalities, they're not allowed. And so I told everyone that we would not be allowing any friendly motions in the future. They would either be a motion, or there wouldn't be anything. So, I just wanted everybody to know that, you're never too old to learn and to do things right, and, so don't make any friendly motions anymore, because they will not be accepted. It has to be a motion in the future. But I wanted to make that abundantly clear, because we've done that for a while, and I thought I was doing the right thing, and I got my chain jerked, which is good. Counselor, Ms. Miles, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for clarity, when a matter is under debate, no motion is in order unless to withdraw if made by the original mover, or to amend. So it can be amended, and only one amendment can be made to a motion that is under debate.
Yeah, but what I said, Ms. Miles, was the mover. I don't think the mover can make the amendment. Somebody else has to make the amendment.
The council procedure bylaw doesn't specify that, so it could be the mover. They could make an amendment to their own motion after debate has been going on.
Okay, live and learn. Thank you. I don't agree with it, but if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. So do you want to amend it? Do you want to amend the motion? Or Councillor Brown, do you want to amend the motion?
Of us, I don't care who amends it. I think we're both saying, yes, let's amend it.
Okay, so I'll amend the motion to add, should it be required.
Regarding the temporary staff, yes.
Okay. So on the motion as amended, Ms. Miles, would you, when you finish getting it written down, would you please read it out again for us?
Thank you. I have moved that we provide the availability of a temporary staff person to do a secondary suite registry, should it be required.
Thank you.
That's what I had.
Okay. On the amendment, any discussion? It's pretty simple, but on, should it be required is what we have to talk to.
Should the registry be
Councillor Brown.
Right. I'm talking about should the temporary help be required, not the registry be required.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Have you got that, Ms. Miles? Thank you. Now on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment signify. Opposed? On the main motion, as amended, Councillor Norgard.
So I'm having a question about what is the purpose of the registry? I don't understand why we're just creating another list. And if we're creating another list, then to give out to the public, then you're going to need to get permission from the owners of those secondary suites to be able to put their names on that list. As a private person, I would not be in favor of the city handing out my address to somebody else.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Worship. Well, I didn't have anything to say on this until the discussion started happening, and my question is basically the same as Councilor Norgard. It's my understanding that Councilor Brown brought this up because we have a shortage of rental units and a shortage of housing in Merritt. So you want a registry of available suites, secondary suites, so people can rent, I believe. It'd be also my understanding that if anybody has a suite, they're probably already renting it. So I'm wondering what this registry is going to provide us.
Thank you, Councillor Prowl.
I'm sort of on this, thank you, Your Worship. I'm sort of on the same page as Councillor Baker. If we had, say, one or two bylaw officers, would they not be kind of on their regular routes and things, be noticing a suite that maybe didn't look like it was registered or something? Like, I don't see the point in, or maybe we even can't hire another person, even temporary, to do this work. Like, I'm sorry. I don't see the purpose.
Thank you. Counselor Brown.
My whole purpose of bringing this motion forward was not just strictly for the registration of suites, but to, for those suites that do not conform to the building standards, we have no way of ensuring safety for tenants, yet we bill services for them, for the suites, for the illegal suites and the legal suites. Maybe not all illegal suites, but as many as are known to us. What I am asking, what I originally asked for was opportunities for us to look at more rental suites to be made. Reviewing illegal secondary suites because those that do not conform need to be given time and perhaps some incentives for ownership buy-in in order to conform to the bylaws so that occupancy for the tenants is safe. There's a number of suites out there that I understand are not very safe. And the whole purpose was to increase our level of secondary suites in Merritt so that we have more rentals available. The registry, this whole report is only about a registry, so I have been trying to address the registry here, but the purpose of my motion was to increase the number of secondary suites in Merritt and that those suites be conforming to bylaws, that we don't have illegal suites out there.
Counselor Getz.
So here we kind of roll all the way back to my very first comment is people with illegal suites are simply not going to register them, so we'll never know what's there. It's never going to happen. The point, other thing is, as far as what's out there for rent, I'm assuming most of these real estate agencies would already know that because a lot of them do handle property management. So a lot of your information would be there already. So, and I'm not really sure that illegal suites can be put in that list. So again, I understand what the whole end game is. I'm just not sure if you can actually ever get there. It's actually getting people saying I'm illegal, coming in and saying I'm illegal, I want to straighten this out. They would have done that by now. So it's a catch-22 situation.
Thank you. I think that, we have a number of legal suites. They're registered with us. They are on a share cost basis. They pay extra for their utilities based on a percentage, I believe. And most of them have been inspected. They're up to snuff. If they haven't, they're informed as to what they have to do. All of those illegal suites out there, it would be great if we could find out each and every one of them and make them all legal suites in line with what they're supposed to do. And I don't think that Joe Blow or Jane Doe is going to come knocking on their door and say, I've got an illegal suite, come on over and tell me what I have to do. We base our investigations on complaints. I don't know if we've had any on neighbors saying Joe next to me has an illegal suite and I'm complaining about it. We haven't got a bylaw officer that can go from door to door to door saying, have you got a suite? Is it legal or is it illegal? And I agree with some of the comments of Councillor Getz. It's almost an impossible task. It's kind of like being, the honor system, and we know we're big people and we're adults, that there's a whole bunch of people out there that aren't going to adhere to what the regulations are. Our job is to make sure that those that do, that we treat them fairly, we don't make it overly difficult for them to have a legal suite, and we try to encourage people to come in and register them. So I think that I won't support the motions. Councillor Brown.
There's also a number of illegal suites out there that we do charge water, sewer, and garbage for. We're aware they're out there. They pay water and sewer and garbage for their secondary suite, and yet they're not conforming. And there's many out there that are unsafe for clients, for families, for whatever.
If that is the case, then our staff is not doing their job with those suites and the people that have them. They should be up to snuff. And if we know that they're there and we're not making them conform, then we're in the wrong. Any further discussion? Councillor Christopherson. Just about, Mike, sorry.
That's okay, we're the same size. Tall.
Oh, okay, I'm not going there.
My question would be through you to staff then, if the illegal suites that we're charging usage for water and that are known, is there any way that we can deal with that part of the issue? Because I think the intent of this motion is a very good one, but we're getting lost in the muddle of how to go about it. But if we do have ways and means of tracking down illegal suites that we're accepting money for, they should be brought up to code or shut down. So does that means exist already?
Thank you. You want to take a shot at that, Mr. Bolden?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, it exists right now. The only reason we became aware of all the secondary suites in town was when we implemented the solid waste bin collection program. That was when the issue was identified, when lots of homes came forward and said, oh, we generate more garbage than one bin can handle. How do we get a second bin? Then the question was asked, why do you need two bins? And it was, well, we've got two families here. So that is what, I'll say, created the issue, but the issue was already there, but made us aware of many homes with multiple families in them. I think it was the last council then, it came before them. The decision was made to, well, let's at least start collecting the revenue that's owed to us by these services being used, such as extra water, extra sewer, extra garbage, and we delivered bins. So we have a list of all the illegal ones, and we could start from there.
Well,
There may be more, for sure.
If we do, Mr. Woven, then our responsibility is not to charge them unless they are up to snuff as far as the suite is concerned, to make it legal and to make it safe. You know, we're opening doors for people to say, oh, well, they don't really care. As long as I pay the utilities, I don't have to have a plug-in where it's supposed to be or whatever the rules are. We need to fix that. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify. Opposed? The motion is defeated. Thank you. Okay, moving on to bylaws, there are none. New business, 8.1, the annual report, City of Merritt Annual Report, file 1610.1, recommendation that council accept the City of Merritt 2016 annual report as presented. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilor Prowl?
Thank you, Your Worship. Is this the time to ask some questions about it, or does that come up at a later date?
If we pass it, it's done. If you want to ask some questions, we have Ms. Thiessen here. You should do it tonight.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Oh, where's she going? Okay. Your mic, please, Councilor Prout.
Actually, next year I will be looking at the permissive tax exemptions a little harder, I think. But I wanted to comment probably to the good on some of these things that are in here. I noticed, like, under bylaw, there was 950 dog licenses sold in 2016. And the year before, there was like 10. So that, you know, there's a lot of work just chasing after these things, unsightly properties, trying to get people to cut all the lawns and the weeds and all that kind of thing. So, you know, there's a lot of work, and thanks for all that. And the progress on our 2016 goals, development cost charges, bylaw review did not proceed, and I noticed that some of these charges are pretty cheap for building a house or things like that. And I think we need to work on that, which is part of the indication. And community policing, just mentioned that the cold weather shelter in 2016 had its busiest season on record. I've been receiving compliments on all the flower beds and all the staff that are on their knees, I guess, weeding and looking after everything. Again, litter is everywhere, and it just drives me crazy. I go down to Claybanks Park a couple times a week and speak to people that are leaving things behind, and by golly, if they're not finally complying and picking up after them, I go down and it is clean. I went down today and they promised again, yep, we'll pick it all up. So I think that was about all that I really wanted to comment on. Thank you, Worship.
Any further comments, questions? All those in favor signify. Opposed, carried, and so ordered. Thank you. Coldwater Avenue upgrades, 8.2, Coldwater Avenue upgrades tender award, Director of Engineering Development, June 20th, 2017. Report, file 1220, recommendation that council resolve to award the tender for the Coldwater Avenue improvement upgrades to B.A. Dawson Blacktop Limited in the amount of $1,994,866, including applicable taxes for the base work, and that the mayor and the corporate officer be authorized to execute the contract documents on behalf of the city. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Councilor Brown.
I needed to know, LNB is from the Nicola Valley, the local area. Is B.A. Dawson also from here?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Councillor Brown. BA Dawson Blacktop is from Kamloops.
And Acres is?
Kamloops.
Okay, both of them Kamloops? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
On that, Ms. Bird, did we basically do it on the lowest bid? And like, because they're local, LNB is local, so I have a soft spot for local, if we can do it that way, so.
Thank you, Worship. When we put a public tender out, we have no choice but to go with the lowest bid.
Oh, okay,
And that was the lowest bid.
so it's a, you have to.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or discussion? All those in favor signify. Opposed, carried, and so ordered. Moving on to 8.3. 8.3, the Nicola Valley Minor Lacrosse Association request for financial aid. Director of Finance and IT, June 21st, 2017 report, file 1851. Recommendation that council recognize the achievement and provides their best wishes to the Nicola Valley Minor Lacrosse Association teams participating in the provincial playoffs this year, and that council direct staff to include a request for the Nicola Valley Minor Lacrosse Association to apply during the fall grant in aid intake for future requests of this nature. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those, Councillor Christopherson.
I have a question, simply because asking an association to apply for through the grant process for an event that may not happen, because you don't know when you're going to get into series playoffs. I don't know how you would possibly fill out a grant for something that may or may not happen. I think the process is flawed, so we can deal with this motion. I'd rather deal with the request in another way.
Okay, a good point, and there's no way that they can know, or any softball,
Yes.
baseball, hockey, some of them because of the timing, but when you're, well, baseball would be another one. They finish the season in the middle of the summer, and if they made the playoffs, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
So it's a timing thing, and they did the right thing in coming to us under our rules, based on the program that we have. It doesn't fit. So this is the correct motion. that doesn't mean that all is lost. Counselor Getz.
I see Councillor Christopherson's point, but this could also fall under the city initiative grant. They could go in that way as well. And I agree, you know, unless you're, you know, the best group in the entire world that you're gonna make the playoffs every single year, this is kind of this is like a crystal ball moment, sort of. So, yeah, I agree that, but we still could get around with it as, in the grant and aid process, or the city initiative process if we had to.
Right.
So do we?
Counselor Brown.
Well, I'm of the understanding that the community initiative program, is to support or contribute towards the community and the goals of council. One-time startup initiatives or programs that will support or contribute to the community. There's nothing in our grants and aid policy that says we support sports groups or playoffs or traveling to Europe or wherever. There's nothing in our policy that says this is what we do. I'm not going to vote for it because our policy is that. I know we've made a few grants in the past. I don't think I've supported 2 out of 3 of them. I don't think one was in my time. I don't think the grant covers it, and I'm not willing to support it. Thank you.
Counselor Norgard.
So I'm not willing to support this as it's written, because to me it sounds like a pat on the head and come back and ask us for something later. I really would like to support these teams going off and because they're ambassadors for our community wherever they go, and they do an amazing job, and I think we need to do more than pat them on the head and ask them to apply next year.
Counselor Christopherson.
You stole one of my words, because I think the community initiative grant can be construed as investing in our future. And I think that the teams that are going to events where they don't know in advance that they're going to qualify, they're going there as our ambassadors for merit, which I do think does have returns for the community. The event may not be held here, but maybe someday it will if our teams keep winning. So I think looking down to the future, it would be easy to take it out of community initiatives. I think we can accept the recommendation that we'll give them a letter of support and so on. That's nothing wrong, but it doesn't do the job that we need to do tonight. So I'm going to look to a little bit of our fearless leader, whether it's worthwhile accepting this recommendation as it is and then move along to the real business, or whether we should defeat the motion.
First of all, I don't think you should defeat the motion. Our staff based their report to us based on the rules that we have, and so it's a correct motion. That doesn't kill what's been asked for. So I think we would be remiss if we didn't pass this, because that's what our staff were asked to do, and that's exactly what they did. So I don't think it would be wrong to defeat it. Councillor Getz.
So here we go again with the friendly motion. I think the second part should be struck and just go with the first part, that we recognize the achievement and provide the best wishes to the Nicola Valley Association teams participating at the provincial playoffs this year. And they are now well aware of the fact that they could apply for city initiative when the time came, and then get on to the discussion of supporting the teams that are heading off. So that's where I'm at. Just to clean it up or whatever.
I think that, if I can, Councillor.
Oh, yeah, you go right ahead.
I think the second part of it is just a mere suggestion to them to, this is the way it works, so they fully understand.
I'll just speak to the inclusion of the second part, because whenever grant applications have come in lately, after the grant application deadline is closed and we haven't put that comment in there, we have been asked to put it in. So staff is just following council's process with that.
That
If
was-
council wishes to remove it, that's fine as well.
That was going to be my point, Ms. Thiessen, that you don't have a choice. That has to be there. So, on the motion, as it's presented, all those in favor signify. Opposed? Now, I would like to enter a motion, if I can find it. I know I put it in here somewhere, so bear with me, please. Okay, I would move that council supports the Nicola Valley Minor Lacrosse Association in the amount of $6,000 to be funded from council contingencies to assist with travel costs for the Pee Wee and Bantam teams to the provincials. Moved, is there a seconder? Or I guess you can second it, Mike, because I made the motion, so are you okay with that? Okay. Now, discussion on the motion. Councillor Baker.
Thank you. So when I read this, council has decided that $87,000, give or take, that we are going to give out in initiatives and grants, et cetera, et cetera. I don't see why there's any reason why we can't take some money, if council agrees, out of the community initiatives and put it into our other pot. It's amount of money that we've decided to do. And I think at the end of the day, when we've used up our money that we've decided to give out in grants and aids and whatever we want to call it, we're done. But we still have enough money in there. So whether we take it out of council initiatives or we take, it's still the same pot of money. So I would like to I agree with the 6,000, but I'd like to take it out of the community initiatives and just put it into the other account and be done with it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Christopherson.
Sort of agreeing, but I think it's appropriate to leave it where it is in community initiatives, because it can be interpreted that this is for the good of the community. If we put it through the other one, I think we get into the regulations again, that they have to be applied for by such and such a date. So I think it's cleaner just taking it out of the community initiatives and saying it's okay.
I got you, Jenny. Councillor Brown.
Now, I may need clarification from our finance director at this point. My understanding is that at the end of the grants and aid process, any funds not allocated go into an extraordinary fund anyways. They don't sit in the same pocket as before. They are used for extraordinary requests, because an extraordinary request is something that comes after the deadline date.
Is that a question to someone?
That's a question to Ms. Thiessen.
Ms. Thiessen.
Through your worship, through to Councillor Brown. We had this discussion after at the Finance and Audit Committee meeting too, and it's not really clear in the grant and aid process, and historically, well, since I've been here, and I don't know if Mr. Boven can, I haven't seen the two combined after the deadline, and the extraordinary grant just means that they're handled in an extraordinary fashion because they're after the deadline. They're not kind of looked at as one, as a grouping as to how they would be. So they're considered on an individual basis, is my understanding.
Thank you. Councillor Prowl.
Thank you, Worship. It seems we always kind of get bogged down on these, what belongs to what and what belongs to the other, because definitely it says it does not qualify as a community initiative grant due to the fact the event's not hosted in Merritt and does not bring people to the city. So to avoid all these issues that we seem to keep having every time somebody comes for some money, a grant of some kind, I think it needs to be looked at maybe so that it's more flexible or whatever. But at the moment, they're saying it doesn't qualify. And that's where this pot of money is. Maybe we're putting it in the wrong pot.
On that comment, Councillor Prowl, you have to read the whole thing, not just one section. It's the whole thing. Councillor Norgard.
So I need some clarification here because we seem to be talking about the community initiative, and that's what's being debated about whether this will qualify. But my understanding from your motion was you were asking it to come from the council contingency.
That's what the motion says, yes,
So why are we debating the community initiative fund?
because everybody seems to think that
They're
that
the
has
same.
something to do
Yeah,
with
they're
it.
the same thing? Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Now, on the motion, any further discussion? All those in favor signify. Opposed? Thank you. That was fun. Councillor Baker.
So now can I put out a challenge to the Cross Association to take that $6,000 and write a letter to both Herb and Murray, Randy Murray, and say, this is what this council did, step up to the plate.
Councillor Getz.
I'm not sure if the Lacrosse Association is aware of the fact that the city now runs and looks after the arena. So decisions can be made now through the city rather than an individual. So I would suggest that possibly you sit with someone in the city and look at some time for the lacrosse in the future in the arena, and possibly a practice area at the lacrosse box, because those are now under city control. And I'm not sure if you were aware of that or not, but they are now.
Just to add to Councillor Getz's comments is, yes, that's true, but it's official the end of August. And Mr. Barrett will be retiring, and then Mr. Boven has been working with our staff to get them trained so they can do that. So on September the 1st, we want banners hung in the arena. Thank you. So motion carried on that. Thank you very much. Move on to, thank you for coming this evening, and thank you for your patience. We wouldn't have let you out because you didn't know what was happening, so that's how you have to do this in order to achieve some goals. So thank you for your patience and good luck. And I have to be careful sometimes with this tongue of mine, but I'll say, please kick butt in Fort St. John and on the island. Thank you very much. I saw a hand somewhere. Oh, that's Catherine. Okay, thank you. Any notices of motion? Councillor Norgard.
Just that we provide a letter of support to the Arts Council for their grant application.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Brown.
Well, I would like to bring up the issue of secondary suites. My last notice of motion wasn't addressed. I can leave out the portion of registering all illegal suites because you voted against it, but I would like us to discuss the other two. And I've got a bunch of, and because there's a shortage of rental units in the city, our major rental apartment building holding 35 units is burned. There's expected to be a huge increased need for rental housing in September if Trans Mountain Pipeline goes through. We need to create opportunities for more rental suites, and that further that incentives be reviewed for the possibility of providing ownership buy-in to register secondary suites.
That's your entire motion?
That's my entire motion.
Have you got that written? Did you get all of that, Ms. Miles?
I've got it here.
All right, thank you. Councillor Getz.
I guess this would be to the CAO or Ms. Miles, I'm not 100% sure. When a motion has been defeated by Councillor Brown, is there not a time limit set before she can reapply for the same motion? I thought there was a certain 48 days or 30 days, because what ends up happening, this has happened before, where the motion continually gets asked for, and it gets bogged down, and we had a situation years ago, and I do believe there is at least a 40-day cooling period before the same person can make the same motion again. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but I do believe that's out there. So if I'm wrong, please let me know, but I do believe we've gone through this once before when I was involved years ago.
Thank you, Mike. I was gonna ask the same question. How many times did you get a kick at the cat? So, just a second. Do you know the answer to that, Ms. Miles? Whoever.
So if a motion is defeated, it cannot be brought back before council for 6 months from the date of the latest vote, except with 2/3 consent of all members of council.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that is out of order. Would that be the correct?
As I understand it, Councillor Brown's motion that notice of motion that she's putting forward tonight is dealing with the 2 items that didn't receive a vote on the report. So on her previous motion, there was 2 items. You might be able to help me out with this, Sean, with the 2 items that didn't get touched on. I'm getting confused looks. That. Yeah. Thank you.
I've highlighted my council report that the 2 items that weren't dealt with were that the City of Merritt review ways to create opportunities for more rental suites to be made available, and further that incentives be reviewed with the possibility of providing ownership buy-in to register secondary suites. Those are the 2 that I saw as not being addressed.
Yes, those are the 2 that I'm asking for to be on a notice of motion.
So you're telling us that she can do that? Okay. That'll come to the next meeting. Any further notice of motion? Reports from council. We will start this evening with Councillor Getz.
We're gonna do gas buddy like we always do as soon as I find it. Here we go. So Merritt today, $1.13.9, Kelowna $1.10, and Vernon $1.10.
Oh, sorry. I'm right
Oh, there we
away
go.
here, sorry.
So,
Sorry.
thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll start again. Gas buddy, Merritt $1.13.9, Kelowna and Vernon $1.10.9, Kamloops $1.03.9, Vancouver $1.24.9, and Prince George $94.9. World oil today is $49.24. Last time we met it was $46.46. So, you know, Merritt needs to kind of look at the rest of the province. We're about 5 cents higher than anybody else in the province right now. So it's time to get out those little thingies and make them come down. Now, here's a thing. On the weekend, I was at my niece's graduation in Langley, and we all got introduced around, and I said I was from Merritt. And 2 families came up to me and said absolutely how much they loved our new boulevards. They said they were the nicest looking things they've seen in a long time. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, because it's funny when you live here and you see them go up, you kind of just miss them. You don't see them all the time. And they said, because they'd been through before, and they said, wow, you guys sure did a nice job with those boulevards. So it's nice to know that somebody noticed those boulevards.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Worship. Interesting enough, when I came into town today after being gone for 4 or 5 days, first thing I noticed were the boulevards and the flowers out. Fantastic. So hats off to staff for that. Since the last meeting, I attended the FCM conference. It was an excellent conference. I passed on some notes to the rest of council. Hopefully you had a chance to read them. The other thing I wanted to mention is we talk about lacrosse and hockey and rugby. Well, one of our own Meritonians, Christian Stead, was announced as the top junior A goalie in Canada. Not just BC, but Canada. It is so unfortunate that he does not play and hasn't played other than a couple of games, I think, for the Centennials, because it would sure be cool to have that caliber here. It's too late now. The only thing I had a question, I didn't know where to answer, so I'm gonna ask it now, is we're doing the Coldwater Avenue blacktop. Could someone tell me when we're doing Corana Crescent? When the blacktop's gonna start for that? I don't remember. Is it this year?
2018, what we did, if I remember correctly, we put it in the budget, and I talked to Mr. Boven about it, because the importance on doing the cold water this year, we've said we're gonna do all of the interviews and whatnot with the neighbors, the residents, to do it for 2018.
Okay, thank you.
Is that not correct, Mr. Boven?
Yes, Your Worship, less the interviewing the neighbors.
Right, thank you. That's it, Councillor Baker? Councillor Christopherson?
June the 14th, attended the theater meeting. June the 15th was the community health care consultation process. And that report, the draft report now is out, and it should be made public within a couple of weeks. We had over 50 participants divided into 5 focus groups, and the evening, from all reports, was well received. Lots of information that came back from a broad segment of the community, so that report will be shared. June the 21st, attended the Aboriginal Day activities in Central Park. And then I scurried off to a Canada 150 meeting at 1 o'clock, and then I slunk over to an Environment Committee meeting at 4:30, I think. And I'll ask to speak to that when we get to other items. And I'd like to express thanks to both Alan Peters and Councillor Norgard for all their assistance and preparation for the community consultation. It wouldn't have happened without some very dedicated help. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Prowl?
Thank you, Your Worship. On Tuesday, the 20th, I attended the special council meeting. The 21st, attended the Environment Committee. We really kind of decided we needed to review some of the parameters because we were kind of getting, we figured anyway, sort of beyond what our mandate was. So, and the NMV application to the Ministry of Environment came up as a question, and I believe Councillor Getz said that's not a new building, it's just a new application. On the 22nd of June, Wednesday, I spoke with the Chamber regarding the base coast, that they arrived on Friday. And I noticed a group of firefighters at Vote Street Park. I introduced myself, and I wanted them to turn the hose on, but they wouldn't. And I noticed them shopping later on in the day with these huge baskets full of food. And I guess these 10 more, they're part WEP and part on call, paid on call. And I'm just glad we got a lot of firefighters, because that's really concerning me this year that we could run into trouble with fires and people throwing cigarettes out without putting them out. And on the 24th of Saturday, I attended the Legion free lunch to celebrate Legion Week. They had the barbecue sitting outside on the sidewalk, and a lot of people stopped and got their free hot dog or a free hamburger, and they're pretty good hamburgers too. On Sunday, June the 5th, I attended the swim meet on behalf of Mayor Menard, and there was this huge enthusiastic crowd there, and they said actually there was more people there last year, and they thought there was more things going on that were conflicts. Anyway, the winner of the 50-50 draw was local resident Sandra Tyson, or Tyson, I'm not too sure which way you say it. Excuse me. She won $4,200, all herself. Congratulations. And I got heck from Ian Webster because I wasn't looking at the camera when I was doing the draw. I saw a big fat, I guess it actually was a marmot, crossing Vote Street right at City Hall here. Of course, it didn't make it. But I wondered, where on earth did that come from? That's what everybody says, but I've never seen one on the road before. Anyway, on the 26th, I went up to the Base Coast site, and they're setting up. The theme this year is space. And everybody knows now about Thursday at 7 PM, you can have anybody can go up there and have a free tour at 7 PM of the Base Coast site. Please, people, I don't know, don't leave your dogs in the cars. It's hot out there, and I shouldn't have to say children. Of general interest, that eclipse of the sun is August the 21st here in our hemisphere, first one since 1918. Now, Adopt a Road is this Thursday. So I don't know how council, if they want you to change Adopt a Road so they can go to the Base Coast tour.
You got,
Pass this by me again.
Base Coast is on the 6th, not this Thursday.
Oh, duh, thank you.
It's okay.
But there's one other question. Remember I had asked what council's wish was for the carving for the logging show? And I think I heard a coyote, I heard an owl, I heard an eagle, I heard an osprey, but I haven't heard back.
Pigeon. A pigeon.
I
Is it
think at the
getting
last,
late or what?
I think at the last meeting, Councillor Prowl, Councillor Getz said that the
Coyote.
animal that we recognize is the coyote, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, right.
Is it? It is there.
A lynx and a coyote.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I noticed the electric car charge in Vancouver is $2 an hour. It just came out today. And I wanted to thank or appreciate Iberdrola for their fast response to the complaints that were coming into them. I thought that was pretty cool. And I see there's a dozen kittens to give away. And it's something I'm gonna think about for the next couple of months as to what city can do about this, if anything. So, just to back up, is there anybody who cannot come to Adopt a Road on Thursday? Okay. Okay, so wait, I just wanna know who's not. Okay, so Dave won't.
I'm not sure. There's something else on Thursday. I'll get back to you.
And that's it?
quick.
29th, it's on the Thursday, Mike.
Dayton challenged.
Are you done, Councillor Prowl?
I am, I'm still confused, but thank you very much.
Councillor Norgard. If not, you're cut off. Councillor Norgard.
So very quickly, June the 15th, the healthcare forum, and the 16th, the debriefing, which was a very good session. And I'm hoping that we follow their suggestion in that we create the network, because there are now 4 communities who have done this process, and we can be stronger together than we are separate. So that was wonderful. And of course, the 21st, the National Aboriginal Day. I'm curious why it's called National Aboriginal Day, however, it's not a national holiday. Just a thought.
Thank you. Let's work on that. Thank you, everyone. I attended starting on the 14th, the Emergency and Protective Services Management Committee meeting at the TNRD. I attended the annual general meeting of the Merit Centennials on the night of the 14th. On the 15th, I attended the regular TNRD meeting, came back here and attended the Health Committee meeting, which I found very interesting, and our thanks to yourself, Councillor Christopherson and Councillor Norgard, for all the hard work that you did putting that together and the continuation of what you're doing. That's great stuff, and we're going to do some good stuff through that committee. I attended on the Friday and the Saturday with assistance to the Nicola Valley Search and Rescue. They have their training and camp out session on Friday, where the trainees come and they camp out. They have to build a shelter, have to live in the bush overnight, whatnot, do a whole bunch of stuff. It was very good, well attended, And the nice thing about it is we've got some really good young folks that are becoming interested in getting involved in the Nicola Valley Search and Rescue team, and they're taking lots of training. The special council meeting on the 20th. Also, we had a meeting, just a short meeting with MLA Taggart and Lori on which ministries are we going to be meeting with at UBCM, and to let us know that she's there to assist us in whatever way we can when they know what the heck's going on. So that was just a short meeting. Attended the Aboriginal Days at Rotary Park, which was great, and I enjoyed it. On the 22nd, I went to Ashcroft. I was invited over there by the mayor of Ashcroft to have a go at the terminal. It's really interesting. That's a huge, huge place, the terminal there, which is privately owned. I didn't know that. I thought it was owned by either the CP or the CN. And I've talked to the gentleman there, and anytime that any of us would like to go and set up a tour, he'd be more than happy to do it, just to show us what they do, what their future plans are, and it's going to be a really big operation and great for that community in the near future. On good old Roy Cunningham, I had a meeting with him on the 23rd. He's still very interested. I got to give him credit. He doesn't back off, and we had a good little meeting. So he's still out there, and I really appreciate his commitment to driving us crazy and wanting to have something happen there. So good for Roy. On Friday night, I attended the ATV group that came here, the provincial group that came here. We did a parade from the rodeo grounds. I led the parade on my bike right down through town, Dalcoshina to the sweet shop. We spent about an hour there, maybe a little bit longer, everybody having a quick look around downtown. They were absolutely great, except for one, and there's always one, didn't follow the rules and went heading out on his own. They couldn't catch him. I was hoping that the RCMP would catch him, but Bob caught him when he got back to the camp and made it very clear that he probably wasn't going to be invited back if he can't follow the rules, and could have got the whole club in trouble. Great bunch. I went back Saturday morning and had coffee with them and thanked them for coming, and next year they're going to Logan Lake, but they're probably going to come back here right after that, the next year. I also attended the Ride to Survive on Saturday morning, and there was 120 registered. Unfortunately, 20 had to drop out for personal reasons, but there was 100 riders, I believe, came in up to the center, stopped, had changed clothes, used the washroom, had something to eat, jumped on their bikes and headed for Delta. Their next stop was in Hope, I believe, to do the same thing. So that's kind of what I've been up to the last couple of weeks. Thank you. Councillor Brown.
I haven't given my report yet.
Did I not? Oh, I stroked you out. I'm sorry. I thought you did.
No.
I apologize. Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Community Futures, an AGM and a board meeting on 14th, 15th. Nothing new. They've got the same board of directors in, I believe, that they had previously. I too went to the healthcare forum. I was hoping to be a part of the organization of it, but I was on vacation at that time and missed the dates. But I did go to the debriefing, but I haven't received the draft plan, so I don't know the draft report. I also went to the special meeting, as most of us did I think all of us did on the pickleball meeting. I have a couple of questions. One of them is the Heritage Committee. And are we appointing, can I ask staff that? Do we have it was in the paper, up until June 30th. Okay, so that answers my question. Just read the date at the bottom. The other one was on our speeches on July 1st. And Neil, you had mentioned that it was going to be either 11:30, if you could, or at 3:30 as advertised.
Yeah, we're working on that. I'll let you know if we get that, because that's when it should be.
Okay, we still don't know.
No, but I'll let you know as soon as it's confirmed.
The other thing is documentation came, I think, from Councillor Prowl on a Fire Smart workshop tomorrow. How relevant is that Fire Smart workshop? What are we looking at here?
Councillor Prowl?
Doesn't say where.
It's at, come on, up the road. My brain is tired. Restaurant. Have I not got it here? So, yes, thank you. I haven't got it written down here. Anyway, it's very long, like it's 10 to 3:30, and I'm only gonna go there 10:30, and I'm only gonna go there for a little while. It's basically the Fire Smart, like those brochures that we hand out, the Fire Smart manual, and apparently, I don't have the full thing, but I'm gonna go for a while, and they said don't bring anything, that they have all the materials that are needed right there. And so this person sent me a letter because it was Guy that recommended that he contact me to attend this event. So
So where is it?
it's at Brambles. Thank you.
At Bramble?
Brambles. Yes.
Is this for emergency personnel? Is that what?
I don't think so. I
Purpose
believe it's just for public, to get some information. Yeah, so I'm going to go for a while and see what it's about.
Good.
Okay, and I would like to put out a challenge to council and maybe to staff. There's only one rule, and the rule is that you can't bring politics into it, and you can't let anyone know who you are. You can't talk about it. The request is, the challenge is, be kind to 3 people this week, to strangers.
I'm out.
To strangers. Doesn't matter how big, how small, there's no rules, other than you can't talk about it, you can't let them know who you are, and you can't bring politics into it.
And what's
So
the
you
phone
can't
number?
talk about it, so you're not going to tell us about it, right?
I did it already.
Be
Where is
kind
this taking, is this just, we're supposed to do it individually?
individually.
I'm with Mike.
It's like the ice bucket challenge.
It's just a challenge to council and staff.
Thank you. Councillor Getz.
Thank you. I forgot to mention this, and I think it's worth mentioning, being the country music capital of Canada. Bobby Garcia, everybody knows who that is?
Yes.
#1 in BC with his song, #4 in Canada. If you haven't heard the song, it's called Not My Problem. And if that thing doesn't go monster, I don't know. It's unbelievable. I've heard Bobby many, many times. And when I heard the song the first time, I thought, who the hell is this? It sounds like, I mean, it's an amazing song. You should hear it. It's a pretty amazing stuff. If you get home tonight, punch in Bobby Garcia, #1 song in BC, #4 in Canada. It's called Not My Problem. So there he is, representing the country music capital of Canada. And there should be more on that, because this thing is taking off like wildfire.
Great.
And it's a great song, too.
Thank you. Just if I could, one more thing, for everybody's to know, get your wallets out. I'm being arrested tomorrow afternoon at 1:15, and I'm being hauled over to Spirit Square, and they won't let me out until I can at least raise nothing less than $100 to get out of the slammer. So. No, that Linda's talking about? Yeah, right. Anyway, Sean is hopefully going to send out, and hopefully we'll get good participation from our city staff on this. There's 10 people.
When does the arrest happen?
1:15. Well, it could change, but that's what they told me, so I don't know, Mike. No, they don't. Thank you very much, Councillor Baker. Anyway, that's it. That's good. Okay, moving on, we have information items. We have 4 of them. Is there anyone there that anyone would like to speak to, please? Thank you very much. Councillor Norgard.
I was just curious
Hey,
about
guys.
what Silga defines as youth.
Pardon?
24? Thank you.
Oh, 25, okay, sorry. Anything on the items that are listed there? Yes. Councillor Baker.
Question on the NNB application. Why would they be putting an application in? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've never heard of a company who had to put in, unless they were doing something new. My concern is that, with our air shed, we're only allowed to put so many particulates in the air, and we have already said yes to the green energy plant, et cetera, et cetera. If this is a new application and Merit now becomes over on their allowable particulates, and NMB does not get their application, that'd be a travesty. That a company that's been here since 1983 would get turned down for something. And I'm concerned why they have to do that. So I'd like someone to find out for me, please, why they're putting an application in. Because an application usually goes to the government and says it's either yes or no. And I've never heard somebody who's already operating those three things they're operating, why they have to do that. And if they do get turned down, I think we need to take a stand and do something as a council, because they have to operate.
Yes.
And we've already lost enough in this community. We cannot lose any more. So somebody needs to find that out, please.
Thank you. Councillor Christopherson.
Yeah, my concern was also on this application for two reasons. Number one, the environmental committee just met, and I would think that this would be an item that should have come up at the meeting, but it didn't, because why have an environment committee if we don't do any work? And the second one, whether Ralph Adams, who's the BC Air Quality, needs to be asked about this. So I too am concerned. So is the city going to be approaching Harry Sandur at the phone number he provided to find out information, or is it going to be homework for council to do? Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
We got one more speaker, and then we'll ask a comment from Councillor Brown.
Those questions were also on my mind, and what I would like to do is when we talk to him, is invite him to council to give us an opportunity to ask some of those questions. In terms of it going to the Environment Committee, most items have to come to council first, and then they're referred to the Environment Committee. They don't go through the Environment Committee and then come to council. It's the other way around. But I would also like to add to the agenda on the UBCM and the youth, and perhaps we can contact the school district for a couple of names. I know it's 18 to 24. It's not just school district age kids, or 15 to 24. I don't know what the lower age limit is now. I forget. But I'd like it on next agenda, if we can get it there.
Okay, going back to the NMV thing, Mr. Bolvin, do you have any comment on that?
Thank you, Worship. I was just acknowledging to Councillor Christopherson. I'll call Harry and request an extension to the deadline and find out what this is all about.
Thank you. Councillor Getz.
Well, we did discuss this at the environmental meeting, and I think one thing we should be aware of is that they're being asked to do something for stuff that already exists, so there might be some issues that have arisen from possibly not having the right permits in the right place. So I think before anybody gets too excited, we probably should wait and see, because I'm quite sure the provincial government is on this, and I think we need to find out what the full story is before we get too excited, because it's pointing to the buildings that are already there. So yeah, we're as much in the dark as anybody else, but we need the whole story.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Prowl.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I mean, I was the one who brought it. The only reason I knew about it was because of the ad in the paper, advertising. So that was the one that brought it to the Environment Committee, because it was just a couple days later, and it was Mike Getz that spoke to it at the time. Thank you.
Okay, we'll wait to hear back from Mr. Bolvin on that. Anything else on the information items? Hearing none, meeting is terminated.
Motion's terminated.
Yes, motion's terminated, yeah. Thank you.